Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to Casting with Purpose, a podcast that is about to get real. I am Marie, and this isn't just another show. This is a lifeline, a connection point where we strip away all the mask and we meet each other exactly where we are. Some days we'll laugh, while other days we'll just sit with the weight of our stories, holding space for every emotion that wants to come out. But I can make you this promise: you will never be alone. Not here. Not ever. So again, I say welcome. So the reason why I began this podcast is because I myself was in foster care, and I lived through the good and the bad of foster care. I went on to be released to a family member, and I just remember not wanting to go home, because as bad as I did want to go home and I asked to leave, the moment they said that I was being discharged, that I was going to live with a family member, I remember asking the man who I called dad today, I remember asking him if I can stay in the place where I was, because I didn't want to go home. I remember my fear was, what if I leave here and I end up pregnant, or I end up dropping out, or I end up not liking my situation? Although I love my family and I did want to go home, I'm scared. And I was having this conversation with him, and I remember he just, he told me, well, you can't stay. And it wasn't because he didn't want me there. By law, I had to go home because the goal is reunification for many children. So when my sister was able to take me, they discharged me, they released me from the system. And I just had this deep conversation with him because I was truly scared and I didn't know what would be next. And I loved my dad. I didn't want to leave my dad. So yeah, that was hard. And the blessing from being in foster care was that I found a huge family. Like my sisters and my brothers who came out of foster care still are in my life to this day. The one thing that saddens me is that many of us have dropped out of high school. We have gotten into some things we shouldn't have. And my fears came true. I became a teenage mom. I was a high school dropout. Got into some other crazy things, and I realized that I wasn't the only one. My sister fell into drugs and passed away from the damage the drugs did to her. And she had her own reason as to why she ended up on drugs, but it was a painful thing to watch. I just felt like I could do more, and I didn't do more for her. I was hard on myself. I have another sister who's struggling with it now. Many of my sisters have trouble with their own children. Some of my family members, they have great relationships with their children, but some don't have great relationships with their families who we grew up with. So it's hard to watch. A lot of the questions that I have gotten from foster children are, the main question is like, what do we do after foster care? And many of them have talked to me because a lot of my sisters, they admit they look up to me, or they see the life that I live, and they wonder how I did it, how I pushed past. And many of those nights I wanted to give up. I wanted to just say, I can't. But because I had children and I'm a mom, I had to keep going. And I didn't know how to give up. So that kept me going. They also kept me going. My sisters, although they look up to me, I look up to them, many of them, because I see their perseverance. And their courage, and the things that they do every day to get to where they need to be. So I admire my sisters and my brothers. They didn't give up. They still have their children. They're great parents, many of them. So, and the ones that can't be parents to their children, sometimes you can't. But they don't give up on their child and being there for their child. So I admire that although they know they're not capable of taking care of their child, they still keep in touch, or they still check up on the child, or be there in the way that they can. So I admire that. But yeah, this is why I started this podcast, because the same question kept coming up. What do we do now? What do we do after foster care? I feel so much pain. I don't know how to deal with it. I am a life coach. Before I became a certified life coach, I would counsel people for free. I would listen to them and give them advice, and just give them a space where they can feel understood. And I just realized that many of them are hurting. Many of us were released from foster care and not giving any direction. We weren't checked up on. No one gave us anything. And then before I started the podcast, moving to where I am now, the man of my life right now, he had asked me, because I was telling him my story when we first started dating. He asked me, did I get paid after, or did I receive money after I left foster care? And I didn't know that was a thing. I know that my sister who took me in, she received a check, I believe, for me staying there with her for a short period of time. They would give her money and then eventually it would stop. But I didn't know that I was able to get money from Social Security. So I'm like, no, we don't get money from Social Security. And he said, well, I heard that you do. So why wouldn't you call and find out? So I said, okay. And I called to find out. And they told me that I don't qualify for it because I passed the age limit. My question to you guys is, have you received money from the system? Or from being released from foster care, from Social Security? Have you received anything? I don't know if you can get a check. I know that when I called, I was in New Jersey, and I called Pennsylvania because that's where I was in foster care at. And they told me that it would have been possible for me to receive an payment, but I was, past the age limit. I just wish that there's more in place for people who are aging out that will guide them. And I'm sure it's 2025. I'm sure there's a lot of agencies out here that help foster children. I'm sure there's things in place. And if you know of any, please leave it down below. I would appreciate it, so that the tribe, people that are watching that are in foster care or aging out or have left foster care already, they can receive the information and look into it. Just leave, if you feel comfortable, leave what state you're talking about and then what programs are for people who are in the comments. Together, we can uplift each other. We can build each other up. We can encourage each other, hold each other accountable, give each other information, grow, so this is what this podcast is going to be. I'm gonna have people on here that they will share their stories from all sides. Foster parents, caseworkers, parents who lost their children, foster children, whether you're in it now or you aged out. So I will have that on here. I will have them on here so that you guys can hear their story and what they've been through, and then the information that they share could help you out. So I thank you guys for tuning in. I love you guys. Like and share with somebody who may need it, and bring a friend. Don't watch alone. Invite a friend, give them the link, let them watch too. Maybe they'll hear something that they need to hear. So until next time, you guys, I hope you have the best day ever, the best night ever, depending on where you're watching from. And just remember that you are loved and that you're worth everything good that happens to you. Okay? So until next time, bye.